The Alliance does have two key focus. One is to advocate for you and advocate for women to have expanded roles and expanded influence in our sector, because I do believe, and I'm backed by research that says we will have better performance outcomes. We all want to see poverty addressed more effectively and to the extreme extent that we potentially can. And with our current makeup, we're not going to be able to achieve that as well. So that's number one, is advocating. And then the second one is equipping. There are a lot of reasons why women don't step up or choose not to step into an expanded influence role, but want to. Now, I'm not saying everybody on this call wants to be a vice president or wants to be a CEO, but certainly if you're showing up at your work day to day, you want to have the greatest influence possible in order to achieve your work outcomes. So let me tell you a little bit about me if you don't know already. I spent 22 years at Eastern University as a professor of organizational leadership. I would say out of those 22 years, 90% of my student body come from the global development space. And that was with intentionality. In the late 90s, when I started that work, we were partnering with major NGOs, and that was the crux of my work. So World Vision and Habitat for Humanity and IJM, and sprinkle some compassion folk in there along the way. And so being intentional about making leadership development both for credit, not for credit, that is applied, biblically based, and professionally relevant, having an impact, but not doing so from the United States. So taking those programs to Africa, Asia, Latin America, Middle East, Eastern Europe, and spent about 15 years working on those specific programs, and they branched out into many other opportunities. So in that time, I've had a lot of time and a lot of experience understanding the challenges, especially cross-cultural, and what it takes to lead well in a sector that has its own peculiarities. We are not corporate America. We are a sector that, tomorrow things are shaken up by an earthquake here and a food shortage there, and so the culture of our organizations and the culture of our sector are different. And I cannot separate leadership behaviors from the culture. And we've poured into this leadership development program a lot of the things that have been told to us by our beloved male colleagues that are the barriers for selecting women, have been told to us by women themselves, and then just a lot of observation. So my passion is to see greater impact, which means you reaching your full potential as far as influence, and your full desired potential as far as roles in organizations that you would like. So that's me. I'm going to turn it over to Ava so she can introduce herself and what has brought her to this topic, and then we will move to our recording of our colleague, Danelli.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you all and great to be here. This has been a passion project for us, and we're just really thrilled to be in this moment to be able to present it to you all. My name is Eva Sallinen Simard. I am a technical advisor for Intercol Mission at World Relief presently. And prior to this, I led a large USAID project for World Relief for about 5 years. And so my story is sort of, I never sought to lead. I never sought to be a leader. And I still don't, actually. I still don't desire to lead, but I do desire to have my voice heard and my impact on outcomes and on how we design things. And I desire the voices of other women to be a part of those decision-making tables. And so sometimes it means that you have to put your own self out there to be a part of that leadership. And sometimes it means that you have to push others and be a facilitator of conversations like we're having today. Um, I never sought to lead because I never grew up with leaders who looked like me. I went to a patriarchal church. I served in churches and organizations where leaders were mostly men, or if there were women. I quickly started to see that those circumstances for leadership did not match well with some of the personal requirements that women have. When I had small children, I couldn't even have imagined to be a leader. But when I got called into leadership by some champions that were in my life, I realized quickly that the only way I can be an effective leader is by remaining myself. And rather than training myself to become like the men that I saw leading in the organization, I needed to find out more clearly who it is that I am and how has God gifted me, and lean into those things and lead through those things. I've been lucky for the last I've been blessed for the last several years, and I've been in an organization that welcomes my leadership style. I'm a soft, negotiating type of a leader, and I've been welcomed into leadership roles with my style. So, really, at the heart of this program is the desire to create a culture where men and women both can really show up as God has created them, that we are not seeking for some leadership model that is one size fits all. We must all speak, talk, present, make decisions in this one format, but that we all bring those things that God has created us to be, the circumstances of our lives, our children, our partners, our parents, the folks we care for, those are all important factors in how we lead. And so really my leadership motivation is to empower and equip other women to lead from the places of who they are. And this is really also at the heartbeat of the program we've designed for you. Um, and so that's me. I'm excited to be working with World Relief and also be one of your facilitators for this program. So if you join us, I will be leading you through this along with Danelli, who is going to, we will hear a little video clip of her right now, so you get to meet her as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm sad not to be with you all as Ava and Beth share about this wonderful project that the Alliance is launching. My name is Danelli Ureña. Together with Ava, we'll facilitate this first cohort. I'm so excited. I'm an organizational design and change coach and a leadership development facilitator. My own leadership journey started in my younger years as a pastor's kid. You can imagine. Too many stories to tell, with experiences that have contributed to who I am and where I am today. I'm a teacher by training and calling, a graduate of Wheaton College and Fuller Theological Seminary. Currently, I work for Harvard Business School with their career and professional development team. But in years past, I served with 2 international organizations. The last one was Development Associates International, or DAI. It was with DAI, a community of fellow developers, where I grew into my gifting as a leadership development facilitator. 4 wonderful years facilitating leadership development courses around the world. I often saw myself as one who opened collaborative learning spaces for leaders to reflect and to learn with others while making friends. We know that if we let it, leadership can be very lonely. I believe in small ways I contributed to the leadership journeys of countless of Christian leaders worldwide. A small fraction of them are women. For me, leadership development is essential. It's about more than just acquiring technical skills. It's about shaping our entire being. When I think about nonprofit international organizations, The leadership development of women feels even more critical because women bring such unique perspectives and approaches that can drive innovation and boost organizational effectiveness. However, despite our strengths, readiness, and drive as women, we often face significant challenges that can hold us back from contributing and pursuing top leadership roles. Some of these include cultural and societal norms, work-life balance, lack of mentorship and role models, organizational barriers, that's a big one, self-perception and confidence, a big one too. It's time we address these challenges through a holistic approach to leadership development with focused training, strong mentorship networks, and inclusive organizational changes. As women leaders, we possess the ability to drive change, to motivate teams, and conquer complex challenges, creating a pathway to a flourishing world. We want that. The Big Longing Executive Program is designed to inspire women and unlock their full potential so that they can lead with unwavering strength and conviction. This program has been designed to be practical and interactive, a safe space with a supportive learning community, a place of connecting with other female leaders who will encourage one another to boldly occupy space and seek to be in higher leadership roles. Younger generations of women need these kinds of role models in communities. Let's invest for today and for the future. For those who will be joining us, I look forward to meeting you inside our virtual community space. For those who are decision makers, I hope this conversation sparked your interest and you've identified the female leaders in your life and organization that you know are looking for something like this. We want them to come. Well, enjoy the rest of the conversation and have a great day.
Ava's going to share a little bit about some of the uniquenesses of this program in particular and what we put into the design.
On the slide, you see some of the program highlights. So you see some of the sort of broader themes that will be covered. And as a backgrounder, the motivation or sort of the birth of all of these themes sort of came from this one conversation I had with a very senior leader several years ago, who I was recommending a couple of different senior leaders for a VP role in the organization. And he said to me, those women are great. They are very technical. And they are missing a set of skills that leaders often have. And it was sort of like, okay, so what are those skills that women don't get socialized in the organization the same way men would, or maybe these are leadership skills that we're all missing, because I don't think that necessarily the men are groomed or raised in any better ways in our organizations. So two very important elements were, sure, the technical knowledge that you have in the area of your expertise is an extremely important thing. But how do you speak about it? Are you able to make persuasive presentations and advocate for yourself, for your team, for the quality of your own work inside of the organization? So that's often missing. We have the technical expertise, but we don't necessarily have the ability to speak about it in a very confident, persuasive way. And three, we often are missing the ability to look at budgets as strategic documents. So we read budgets, we understand them, we're able to sort of ask for some of the things that we need, but really to be forward-looking and be investing money in areas where we see the future trends of the sector going. Those are sort of the missing pieces. So we wanted to really build this holistically And so you see here some of the subjects we will be covering. We'll go into that a bit more in detail. This is the what, and the how, I think, is on the next slide. Yes. So on the next slide, on this slide, you sort of see like what is sort of the output, or what is your experience going to be in this program. So as you heard, Danelli and I will be the facilitators. We'll be taking you, walking through with each of the participants. We'll be your coaches, we'll be your advocates in this program, and getting you the experience you need to have. We will be having bi-weekly live group conversations, just like the one we're having right now. And we will be sharing curated presentations and materials, takeaways that are very practical for you week after week. In the bi-weeks, in between these presentations, you will be receiving like video presentations and readings and things like that to sort of get you thinking about the next topic ahead. We will be doing a personalized leadership style assessment, which sort of will get you to the roots of what type of a leader you are. We will be receiving peer challenges from all of our participants, understanding what are those things that you struggle with the most. And we will have a conversation around those as a group and sort of learn to problem solve across the participants. We will be having influential experts joining us on folks who are really working on these areas of budgets, of presentations, on negotiations, with a lot of practical experience of how they solve those issues in their everyday lives. And it's going to be a relational cohort with, you making connections with 12 to 14 other cohort members in this initial cohort, and hopefully creating sort of a network of colleagues across the sector for years to come. So we'll really be harnessing that. So with that, I think Beth will sort of dive into the topics more quickly here in our remaining time. Go ahead, Beth.
Okay, so let me just run down. I'm not going to go into detail, but we start with, and so 16 weeks, 16 topics, but you'll notice that, every 2 topics are kind of clustered together. As Ava said, the offline week builds towards the next online week. So we're going to be looking at the biblical case and the strategic case and the reality for women in leadership. Team building, how to become more of a coach to your people, not just a manager of your people. There's going to be self-reflection stuff in the early part. We are going to look at the things like Queen Bee syndrome and the tall poppy syndrome, and how do we be God's peculiar people. 1 Peter 2:9, I have called you to be my peculiar leader who operates differently than the world, around you. So how do we wind up being women who show up for each other and show up for others and celebrate others' successes, even when they might possibly mean our own disappointments? I think Ava has designed a module about what do I bring to the leadership table. It's stunning to me how many women don't see their current abilities and gifts and skills as desperately needed in influential roles. And again, it's part of the meta message that we have absorbed our whole lives in both societies as well as organizations that say we're not necessarily leadership material. Ava mentioned the self-reflection instrument. We will look at team relations. I know sometimes as a female leader, some of your biggest problems come from your own immediate team. And so how are we building the most high-performing teams? This notion of peer challenge circles, I'm intrigued by this. You may have already been part of these. Some call them coaching circles or whatever. You actually will bring your scenario as a living case study. And we use fishbowl tactics where, because you've now been equipped with coaching skills and coaching posture, you'll be able to work with that case study and that person presenting in a coaching fashion. So we're killing 2 birds with one. That person gets their challenge addressed and the rest of the group gets opportunities to take on that coaching posture and practice those coaching skills. So I'm really quite excited about that, because some people, you can sign up to be part of those kinds of groups as standalone events. And we've incorporated it into this program. So I'm super excited for that. This notion of executive presence, we've all heard it. She doesn't have executive presence. Oh, he has such gravitas. He has such executive presence. What does that actually mean? And lo and behold, the research says it's changed in the last 10 years. So we're going to look at, what does today's executive presence look like? And I will tell you a secret. The goodness of today's executive presence tends to be the qualities that we see more present in female leaders. Don't tell anybody else, that might scare the bejeebers out of them. But yeah, so we're going to examine that and give you opportunities to be honing what that executive presence looks like. Leadership presentations. Ava said, and I've heard this before, that just doesn't present well. And so you're going to have the opportunity to design presentation and present to a group, and then getting good coaching and critique feedback, as well as some really handy tools just to remember that every time you present, whether it's sitting around your team table or standing in front of your executive team or standing in front of a room full of donors, there are some key elements, that we can easily sharpen. These are all learnable. Ava mentioned the understanding budget indicators. So one of the critiques that I've always heard is that they just don't seem to understand the big picture. And oftentimes by that, they mean what our organization is facing from a budget perspective. If I were to give you the documents that your organization gives its board members, would you be able to look at those financial documents and say, we are a healthy organization today? We have enough cash flow today. We have enough cash reserves. Would you be able to answer some of those fundamental questions on understanding the big picture, and then using that information to look at your own organization, your own department's budget and things. So, and then negotiation and what we call internal advocacy. And that has two roles. Number one is learning how to negotiate for yourself as far as your next promotion, your next raise. But also, how do you negotiate in an organization that usually has 100 or more initiatives going on simultaneously? How do you positively advocate for your department's work, but also in such a way that recognizes perhaps you need to give way to a more pressing project? Now, if you find that your department is regularly having to struggle to get the resources it needs, et cetera, how can you advocate better for that by tying it specifically to organizational outcomes and bottom line outcomes? So those are the various weeks that we have lined up for you. Now, it'll be a very good experience. I'm super excited. I think one of the huge uniquenesses is the fact that we have two executive coaches working with you on this. Some of the other programs that we benchmarked against were all online. You get no human interaction, or you have to pay extra if you want a human interaction, which I found really weird. So we are in the business of, women helping women and women supporting women. And you've got two of probably the best people I know because of Ava's long experience within an NGO and Denelli's long experience in executive leadership development. You've got two great facilitators lined up to be coaching you through this, and again with some guest speakers coming. So feel free to reach out. We've got info at thechristianalliance.org if you have any questions for us. And yeah, the site is now live. The registration is now live if you want to go ahead and apply or talk it over with your colleagues. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday, wherever you are, whatever's left of your day. And we look forward to seeing you again in September in our next Welcoming Table Talk.